This is Radio Soul on WRGP Radiate FM, FIU Student Radio via 88.1 Homestead and Kendall, 95.3 Miami, and 96.9 in the heart of North Miami, home of BBC. With me right now is a legendary media figure. She's worked for CBS 4 and currently is with Hot 105. She brings the hotness to the Times in the Morning show every weekday alongside Rodney. She is Traci Cloyd.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. That's a very generous, very kind introduction. You the man. You the man.
Hey, well, I'm glad I was able to let it be known that you are making headlines in South Florida.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And also want to say congratulations to you on being a woman and media honoree at FIU. I got to applaud you for that.
All right, thank you to all the other honorees, too.
Yes.
They were fantastic.
Indeed,
It was a great panel, wasn't it?
Yes, it was great.
It was really nice to hear their stories because you know these women over the years. I knew everybody on the panel except for Carolyn Guinness from the South Florida Times.
South Florida Times.
Right, but I knew everybody else. But it was really interesting still to hear their stories from that perspective. You know, you work with them or you've worked alongside them on various projects, but you never really get a chance to hear their stories in that way.
That is true.
It was great.
So yes,
and nice to meet you too.
Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. And it's an honor to see you be honored at Florida International.
At Florida International, FIU is doing it big.
Yes, they are. FIU on the strength. Don't want me. I just love saying that.
FIU on what?
On the strength.
On the strength?
Yeah.
Why do you love saying it?
I don't know. I just do.
You just do?
I'm always saying it on the air. A lot of listeners can tell you that. He's always saying that.
And so, how long has the show been on?
It has been on since January 2014. That's when it world premiered. And it's been doing great ever since. Loving it.
I'm so glad. I mean, and I'm so proud of you and just, taking the initiative to get started, and the show's going to expand.
Yes, absolutely. 2 hours. 2 hours long.
Starting
May 5th.
May 5th. All right, everybody's got to tune in. We got to let people know.
Yeah.
Brandon's got the hookup. It's a 2-hour show.
Absolutely. Well, tell me about you. How did you get your start in the world of media?
I was always a good storyteller, and I started out as a television news writer. So that was my very first job. I was an intern at Channel 7, and then I started out as a television news writer, and then eventually I went on to be an associate producer and a producer of newscast. And that's how I got started in media.
That's awesome. And having worked at CBS 4, what was it like, working in that area?
In crazy bedlam. I love doing news and being a part of it, but it's just when you do news in a television environment, there's a lot of people involved in the process. You have managing editors, you have reporters, you have assignment editors. There's so many people involved in it that sometimes it can be overwhelming, and you're like, and I don't know that necessarily it was the best environment for me to do news, because I'm more of I like the autonomy that comes with being, a singular storyteller. And so for me, radio is better in that way, because you don't need all those things to tell the story. All you need is the information and a microphone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely the info and the mic, because the mic is powerful indeed.
Yes, it is.
And speaking of radio, what got you down to Hot 105?
I just kind of fell into radio. I'd been in television all those years, and one day one of our reporters said, "Oh, hey, I think they're looking for an anchor at Hot 105. Why don't you give them a call?" I was like, "I don't know. I never really thought about radio." She goes, "Call them." So I called the program director at the time. His name was Tony Kidd. And I came down here, and he said, just go in the newsroom. We used to be attached to a newsroom, WIOD. And everything was housed at Channel 7 at the time, right next door. And they said, "Oh, here, read this copy." I go, "That's not what I do. Let me produce something for you. Let me write something and produce it, and I'll make a tape." I didn't even have a tape. I had plenty of audition tapes for television as far as producing, but I didn't have anything for radio. And I made a tape, and by the time I got home, they'd already called me back. And that was 15 years ago, so I've been here.
Yeah, you
a long
have
time.
been here.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it's been a blessing. It's a great way to be able to do news.
That's awesome. And you do news for the Tom Jordan Morning Show on the South Florida level, bringing all the hotness.
Yeah, it's a local. It's great because then you get a chance to infuse a local element into the show. So whereas Tom is covering everything nationally, when Rodney and I come in, we give the audience the best of both worlds. So
Absolutely.
they get the gravitas
Yes.
that comes with a big show like that, and then we get to bring it home.
And how does it feel to, be that important figure in the community? Because I know both you and Rodney, you guys are looked upon as, the go-to individuals as far as the community goes.
I never feel like I'm an important figure in the community. I feel kind of like the town crier. It's like, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. I feel more like that. Like I get up, and I'm the Paul Revere, and I tell people, this is what happened while you were asleep, or this is what's happening now. So I don't think of myself as like, I just never think of myself as important. And sometimes, I joke around and go, nobody listens to me. They listen to you. They don't listen to me. They listen to you. But I do know that people are listening, because if you mess up, they call.
That is definitely true. Whether if you got dead air or you mess up on the air.
Right.
What you doing?
Exactly. So I go, oh, they're listening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think of myself. I think of myself as there to try to help keep people informed, and because it's within the confines of the Tom Jordan Morning Show, I am not bound to do stories that are traditionally. I feel like if everybody wants to hear about every single shooting, they can get that somewhere else. Right. So I know what the rules are, but so I can break the rules. So for me, I think, I'm going to do it as if black people were in charge of South Florida. What's the most important story to us today? Absolutely. What do we want to know about? So it's great in that it gives me, it affords me that opportunity to help us. They call it super serving the black community. So in order to keep us up on things we might not necessarily hear about, in other newscasts.
Right. And with that being said, do you have any words of encouragement for anyone going into the world of radio or TV or just media in general?
I would say the most important thing is to really be a good writer. I mean, it has been for me, learning how to write has really, because that's basically what it's all about. You're writing a story, you're crafting a story, and you're telling a story.
Right.
So, I just tell everybody, seek out somebody who, can help you with your career, because you can't do it by yourself. So, if you find somebody who, is either an inspiration to you or is willing to share some time or, answer some questions, you got to find that person. And that way you're not trying to invent the wheel or reinvent the wheel all by yourself.
Right.
So, I mean, that's my most practical encouragement. You know how people say, oh, reach for the stars, energize yourself, go for your dreams. And it's like, okay, but how do I get there? It's kind of like when you're trying to get a career, it's like, to me, it's like people get in a car and go, where am I going? And how do I get there?
Exactly.
So it's a lot of things to figure out. So I just try to always tell people, find somebody who can help you answer the questions that right now you might not even know the questions, but you're going to have the questions. Right. You're going to need to try to map out a practical way to get where you want to go. Absolutely. Once you figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And do you have any shout-outs you want to give out, or hellos, or anything?
I want to shout out my husband, Harold Young, who I just love. I want to shout out Rodney, of course, he is just an institution in the community. I mean, he goes above and beyond and around. He does so many great things in the community. He's a guardian ad litem. He helps people all kinds of ways. He spends so much of his time giving to other people. He's just a really altruistic, really generous, kind human being, so I gotta shout him out.
Absolutely. And again, I want to thank you for joining us today on Radio Soul. It was a pleasure to have you on and to speak to you.
It is so nice to be a part of it, and I'm so encouraged and I'm inspired to see you doing your show, to know it's expanding, and all the statistics make the news. Black men, young black men aren't doing anything, they're in trouble, And so, people who have stories like yours who, you're working hard, but you're not getting attention. It's nice to know that, you're out here and you're making it happen. You're working full time, you're going to school, you're making opportunities for yourself. Like, you came and sought me out. And so, now other people, if you want to come back, you're always welcome here in the building. You had a chance to meet James T. and to talk with Rodney. And so, it's great to know you're here.
Absolutely. And again, thank you so much for joining us. An exclusive interview with my girl, Traci Cloyd. Once again, Hot 105 News Goddess. I'm a New Jack Kid, and this is Radio Soul, and an exclusive interview for WRGP and FIU Student Media.